Welcome to Take 5. I'm Todd Grossans, bringing you 5 stories today from the Voice of America. Thanks for joining us. We begin today with a new book and a surprising claim. Journalist and author Gretchen Peters has spent 5 years on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and in her latest book, Seeds of Terror, Ms. Peters says the Taliban is better funded now through the heroin trade than in any time since 2001. Peters covered Pakistan and Afghanistan for the Associated Press and ABC News, spending 5 years on the two nations' border. She learned how heroin produced in Afghanistan reaches Pakistan with the help of different Taliban leaders who share the territory.
If you study their day-to-day operations on the local level, they start to look a lot more like mafiosi than mujahideen.
She says roughly 70% of funding for the Taliban comes from opium, a narcotics trade the U.S. must disrupt if it's ever to defeat the insurgents. VOA's Ravi Khanna has much more in his full report online. A new poll on attitudes in several Arabic nations shows that the election of President Obama is fueling hopes about U.S. Middle East policy, but it also reveals that most Arabs hold unfavorable views of the United States. Attitudes in the Arab world towards the United States are still negative, according to the 2009 poll conducted by the University of Maryland with Zogby International. 77% of those polled say America is the second greatest threat after Israel. That is, however, an improvement compared to the 2008 poll, and 45% of Arabs polled have a favorable view of President Obama.
They're open to him, they're hopeful, they're majority is expressing hopefulness toward American foreign policy since he's become president, but that has not yet translated into profound change in attitude toward American foreign policy.
More than 4,000 people in 6 states were canvassed in April and May. In 4 of those nations, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, and Lebanon, a majority said Barack Obama's election as president boosted their approval of the U.S. Buildings account for nearly half the world's climate-changing emissions, but that's changing, as VOA's Roseanne Skirble discovered while visiting the campus of Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. Perched atop the roof of Carnegie Mellon's School of Architecture is an experimental lab, the Intelligent Workplace. Among its high-tech features, glare-resistant windows, pipes that carry water warmed by recycled waste heat, and modular furniture and walls that can be moved around at a moment's notice.
There's no dust that's generated, there's no waste that's generated. We just reconfigure the space and we're up and running, instantaneously delivering the same really high environmental quality for everybody that's working here.
Researchers hope the current climate of political change and economic stress generates a new enthusiasm to make the Intelligent Workplace a reality. In our VOA series, Making a Difference, we meet Viola Vaughn, an American grandmother who thought she was moving to Africa to homeschool her daughter's 5 children. Turns out she's helping thousands of Senegalese girls in a place where girls can often be left behind. Viola Vaughn's 5 grandchildren came to live with her when her daughter died 14 years ago. She moved her family to the Senegalese city of Coalec to homeschool them. That's when the real changes started. In 2 weeks, Vaughn had 20 girls. Her program now helps thousands with tutoring, study space, and by monitoring the girls' progress.
I had to be 50-some years old before I found a job that I could stick to, that I really, really liked. I had to retire before I started to work again.
Her goal, helping 10,000 girls to do better in school. Take a chance to meet the tireless Viola Vaughn by clicking on Scott Stern's report at voanews.com. Almost 70 years after one of World War II's deadliest battles in the Pacific, an aging veteran of the war is returning to the tiny island of Tarawa, where he fought Japanese soldiers. His story is the subject of the documentary film Return to Tarawa. 89-year-old Leon Cooper is on a new mission to clean up the historic site, which is covered in mounting garbage. As the island is so small, there's nowhere to bury it all. More than 1,000 U.S. Marines died at Tarawa in 1943 during a 3-day assault to take control of the island.
For more than 3 years, I've been trying to get our government to do something about the desecration that has happened to the beaches where so many Americans died in defense of our country.
There are still the remains of many U.S. soldiers at Tarawa, and military debris is everywhere, and Leon Cooper wants to preserve all of it before the rising ocean itself could swallow the historic site. Penelope Pulo has much more on Return to Tarawa in our Flash Player and at voanews.com. That's it for this Take 5. I'm Todd Grossans. Thanks for clicking on.